The Radio Memories Network is brought to you in part by Liberated Syndication. Podcast publishing made easy. Libsyn.com. That's Libsyn.com.
You are trapped in the dank darkness of a ruined plantation house, and somewhere in the pitch-black room is a homicidal maniac armed with a knife, groping for you, trying to prevent your escape.
Escape, produced by William N. Robeson, directed tonight by Richard Sanville, and carefully plotted to free you from the four walls of today for a half hour of high adventure.
Tonight we escape to a deserted sandpit off the coast of Georgia, where terror stalks under the Spanish moss, as Joseph Hergesheimer tells it in Wild Oranges.
What could have appeared more innocent of danger than that barren, low-lying shore of southern Georgia? What could have seemed less laden with terror than that lovely little cove, so tranquil and well-sheltered, so warmly bathed in late afternoon sun as we dropped the anchor of our ketch and prepared our mooring? And yet there was something. First it was an odor of a grove of wild orange trees in late bloom, growing defiantly amid the tangled undergrowth of the shore. The scent was strong and exotic and heady, and as I smelled it, I felt a vague uneasiness. Then as I watched the shore and Halvard, sole member of my crew, furled the sails, the mirror of the cove was shattered by a movement. First I thought it was a fish leaping and playing in the water. It came round a spit of land from an inner bay, and then Halvard was beside me.
That's queer, sir.
Huh?
I would have bet there was nobody within miles of here. But there's someone swimming.
Huh? Yes. It's a girl.
Aye. She'll be surprised when she discovers us, no doubt.
And embarrassed. Oh, she swims well, doesn't she? As if she's been born in the water.
Yeah, does she seen us?
Yes. Now she's running away. That sprint would win an Olympic race. Wonder what she's doing here, where she comes from.
Perhaps there.
Where?
Through the trees, there's a house. You can hardly see it. I spotted it a moment ago.
Oh, yes, so there is. Oh, but it's a ruin. It's rotting away. No one could have lived in that since the Civil War.
Well, there may be others back there.
Yes, but this coast is deserted. Marked as swamp on the chart.
Well, I don't know, sir.
It's strange. Very strange. Yes, it was strange. And stranger still was this vague uneasiness I felt. As twilight fell, the aroma of the wild oranges was overpowering. Suddenly, without knowing why, I slipped on a jacket, went to the side and dropped into the tender. Halvard stood by to cast off. He asked no questions, and I said nothing. What could I say? I didn't know myself why I was going. I pulled the tender up on the soft sand of the beach and walked up a dim path through the orange grove. The scent of the blossoms was full of such wild sweetness that I picked an orange and tasted it. It was bitter, of a pungence that was new and rare and strangely delicious. The dim moonlight only accentuated the ruin of the house. There were other smaller, ramshackle buildings scattered about, overgrown with weeds and creeping vines. This had once been a great plantation. Now it lay still and lifeless. Then I saw the light. Round the side, where a smaller portico held off the weeds, a single doorway was framed in the pale light of an inner lamp. As I approached, I saw a shadow move across it, so swiftly, so furtively, that it was gone before I realized it had been a man. Then I saw her, sitting on the portico, rocking softly in her chair.
What do you want?
Nothing. When I came ashore, I thought no one was living here.
You're from the white boat that sailed in at sunset?
Yes, and I'm returning immediately.
It was like magic. Suddenly, without a sound, you were anchored in the bay.
I've robbed you, too. Some of your oranges are in my pocket.
You won't like them. They've run wild. We can't sell them.
They have a distinct flavor of their own. I should be glad to have some on my boat.
All you want.
My man will get them and pay you.
Please, don't. Oh, Nicholas attends to that. Won't you sit down? My father was here when you came up, but he went in. Strangers trouble him.
Oh, I should be getting back. I'm sorry to have disturbed you and your father.
No, it was nothing.
Good night, then.
Good night.
That was all. Fragment of commonplace conversation. But it was enough. Now the uneasiness I felt, the strangeness of this place took shape for me. I saw it in her lovely, fragile face. I heard it in her voice. There'd been a hidden terror, a terrible, controlled fright that approached hysteria. There'd been a warning in it, and something else, a plea. By the time I got back to the boat, I was completely unnerved, and Halbert made matters worse.
You find anything, sir?
There are people living there.
Well, there'll be water then. Maybe we could stay here a couple of days, huh?
What do you mean?
Well, this is good anchorage, sir. I'd like to unship the propeller, and the topside could do with a coat of varnish.
No, we're going on south.
Aye, sir.
No, wait, Halbert. Of course, you're right. We need a couple of days' work before we head into blue water. We'll do it here. And so we stayed. In the light of morning, the strange dread I'd felt seemed foolish, and especially when I went ashore and found the girl looking young and fresh and fragile, fishing off the little pier in the inner bay. She had a pathetic little rod and line, so I got our tackle from the boat and landed a big rockfish for her, enough for several dinners. We were carrying the fish to the house when we came on a pale, thin ghost of a man sitting on the portico. He started a swift retreat, but too late.
Father, wait. This is my father, Litchfield Stoop.
How do you do, sir?
Millie, you all know I can't. Strangers, they...
Father, you must manage yourself better. You know I wouldn't bring anyone to the house who would hurt us. And see, we're fetching you a splendid rockfish.
Oh, yes. So you are. We are alone here, sir. The man is away, my daughter and I. The fish, yes, acceptable.
If you will carry it in for me. Nicholas would do it, but he's away. And Father isn't strong. This way. We have no ice. I must put it in water. In here, right there. Thank you. You've been very nice. Now I suppose you'll go on across the world.
Not tonight. We're staying here, making repairs.
Where do you come from? And where are you going?
From Cape Cod. I'm going to the Guianas.
Isn't that South America? I've traveled far. On maps. I was born here in this house, and I've never been 50 miles away.
Oh, well, that's incredible. But you seem like a girl who's been everywhere in the world and had the best education, everything.
My father has many books in there, that's all.
Your eyes are remarkable. Gray-green, like olive leaves, and magnetic. I came ashore to ask you if you had a large water supply and if I might fill my casks.
Of course. Rainwater, the cistern's full.
I'll send my man Halbert then.
Yes.
There's something else in your eyes, in your voice. What is it? Fear?
Fear? Why, no, of course not. What should I be afraid of?
I don't know. But I saw it in your father's face, too.
It's only your imagination.
Yes, no doubt. Goodbye, then. Thank you for the fishing. Strange how this girl should upset me so. I tried to resist, but that evening I found myself going back to her. Tying the tender to the little pier, I watched as she came to meet me.
I'm glad you came. The fish waited...
Oh, don't tell me. I'd rather not know. I might be tempted to mention it in the future, and I'm sure it would sound like a fish story.
But it was imposing. Nicholas waited. He's our man. He's back. Let's stay here, by the sea. It's so lovely in the moonlight.
All right. Oh, it is nice here.
I lied to you today about fear. I suppose I am afraid. I suppose my father has passed some of his fear on to me.
Why is he afraid?
That's a long story going
A fiery
back to
horse
the
with the
first
speed of
war.
light, a
Please,
cloud
tell
of dust, and a hearty high
Well,
of silver.
He was a young
Lone
man then,
Ranger.
and he didn't go to war. It wasn't that he was a coward exactly. He just couldn't adjust to it mentally. People mocked him, laughed at him, and threatened him. That's when a sort of
This is the
perpetual
legend
fear
of a man
started.
and a horse,
He
and how
ran
they
away.
met. The story
He
of
met
the
my
Lone
mother and married
Ranger
her.
and his great horse,
In
Silver.
here. None of us has ever left this lonely place. Never will, perhaps.
The Lone Ranger and Tonto
He's
were
dead.
trailing the worst outlaw in the
Loneliness
West.
killed her.
His name was Butch Cavendish.
Perhaps it's no wonder that
They
I
had followed his
sound
trail for
timid
many
or
weeks,
afraid.
until finally they noticed that
Perhaps
the
I am.
hoofprints of the
Aren't you
outlaw's
lonely,
horse
too?
were fresh.
I don't know
Close
anything
to
else.
Cavendish now.
But
Yes,
what about
Tonto.
you?
He can't be
Who
far
are
ahead.
you that you go
Now,
sailing
brothers,
about the
last
world with
time.
only your sailor for
Maybe
company?
better we shoot
Oh,
in sight.
I'm nobody.
No, I wanna
My name
take
is
him
John
alive.
Woolcock.
And you do nothing but sail about the world?
Nothing.
Over there.
Why?
Killer in
Well,
ambush. Him
let's
right
say I
way.
don't like
Tonto,
modern
he missed
society.
me, but he shot my horse.
Let's say
Get after him.
I don't like
Tonto.
entanglements.
I
Tonto's
see.
horse was tired and
Oh,
no
I
match in
didn't.
speed
You
for the
needn't
animal Cavendish
apologize.
rode. The outlaw
I
escaped.
envy you your freedom.
When Tonto returned
I
from the
sit here
futile
a
chase,
great deal.
he found the Lone Ranger standing beside his dead horse.
The good horse, Tonto.
You are
Loyal, faithful,
enviable.
and brave. But my
Sail
next
where
horse
you
must
like.
be faster.
Safe and
I wish
free.
Tonto,
Safe.
we've heard stories of a wild horse, a fiery white
There
stallion.
is something more than you've told me.
Him seen near
More
valley
behind
over
this
there,
fear in your
where
voice.
Cavendish
No.
goes. We'll be on the
perhaps I
lookout
can
for the
help.
wild
No,
horse while
no,
we follow
please.
Cavendish.
What's that?
It's Nicholas! Blowing on the counter. I've got to go in.
I'll come with you.
No. No, please. No. Don't come.
Tonto's horse carried the
You'll
Lone
be
Ranger's
going
saddle,
soon.
his saddlebags,
Tomorrow,
and bridle, while the masked
Then-
man and the Indian continued on
Goodbye.
foot along the outlaw's trail.
Goodbye.
When they reached the top of a hill,
Look, Tonto.
they halted suddenly and stared at an awe-inspiring sight
Now
far
I
down
knew
in
the
the
terror
valley.
I'd only sensed was real. This girl was
They
possessed
saw a
by
great
fear.
white stallion in
This
a
house
death fight
held
with a
some
giant
terrible
buffalo.
secret.
The horse
What could
was
it be?
plunging, rearing, charging, and
Next
dodging
morning,
wildly.
Halva suggested
and
we
the sun
repaint the
flashed from his
engines,
coat
and I
as
agreed.
from a coat of polished
We'd stay
silver.
another day or two.
They realized that
Later,
this was the
Halva went in to
legendary
fill a
white
cask of
stallion,
water. He
the
came
one
back without
ranchers
the
and
cask
hunters
and
had
livid
talked so
with
much
rage.
about.
There's some idiot in that house.
Next time I'll take the pistol.
What do you mean? Where's the cask?
It was broken. No, it was filling it at the cistern, and
As he ran
idiot,
down the hill, the
huge
Lone Ranger
hulking
watched
brute
the
came out
battle.
of the house.
The
He told me to
white
get away.
stallion was nimble
When I
and
tried to
courageous,
explain that we
but
had
his strength
permission,
began
he
to
came at
wane.
me with a
The
knife.
buffalo charged
Different.
again and
So
again.
I hit him, but
The
it
splendid
was like
muscles
hitting
of
an
the
ox.
white horse
He
were slower
put
in
his foot on the
responding.
cask and
Then
crushed
too
it.
slow.
I'll see about
He was
this.
caught by the
You be
buffalo's
careful, sir.
charge.
The man's
Wet
not right.
crimson stained his
He's
pure white
dangerous.
coat. Another
Plenty
charge.
dangerous.
The white horse saw it coming and he couldn't dodge. He staggered and fell. The monster drew back and lowered his head
I
for the
went
death
ashore
charge.
and around to the
And
back
then
door of the
two
house.
shots rang
Millie
out.
wasn't in sight. When I knocked
The
a
buffalo
lumbering
shuddered
giant
from the
with
impact
pig-like
of the
eyes
masked man's
came to the
bullets.
door.
What do you
For
want?
an instant,
I
he stood
take it you are
motionless.
Nicholas, the man who broke my water
Then
cask.
fell.
Full of all water.
I'm not going to argue with you. I came ashore to instruct you to keep your hands off my property and my sailor.
Let our water be.
I told you I wouldn't discuss the matter. I don't have to justify myself to you. Just remember, keep your hands
Get
off.
me started.
What do you mean started?
Here, don't get me started. Mind, I warned you. Don't put
down
me
that
started.
knife.
Go away now. Don't get me started.
Stand
Go
back.
away. Don't get me
Battered
started. I'm
and
telling
bruised,
you.
The white stallion lay
Nicholas, stop.
quietly as the Lone
What is it?
Ranger
What's the
bathed
matter?
his wounds.
Nothing.
During the
Nicholas and
next
I have
several
had a
days, the
little
masked man
misunderstanding,
and the
that's all.
Indian cared for the injured
It's nothing
horse.
to worry about.
Then the wounds were
Nothing to
closed.
worry about, I
and
said.
the horse's strength
When I got back to the
returned.
boat, I couldn't help
There was
asking
once more
myself
fire
why
in
I'd
his
left
eye,
her with
a
that
spring
brute.
in his step.
I just about
His
made up
head
my
was
mind to
lifted
go ashore
proudly.
again to check up when I saw her waving on the beach.
Tonto, he's himself
She wanted to visit
again.
the boat. I went and got her.
Plenty strong.
There was no hint of
Plenty
terror
good
in her
horse.
face now.
I wonder if he'll
Just
take a
shining,
saddle.
girlish
Let's
wonder
try.
at the polished metal
Steady
and
there.
the gleaming
Steady,
wood
boy.
of the catch. I offered to take her for a sail, and her face lighted up like
No,
a
Tonto,
child.
wait. Let him go.
But when we reached the heavy
Like to
swells
have that
outside the
horse
reef,
more than
her face
anything in
got
the world.
white, and
He
she
deserves
froze.
his freedom. He fought for it.
It's so big.
Are you frightened?
He's turned to
I'll
look
turn
at
back.
I'd rather you
The sun
didn't.
reflects from his
I
white
must learn. I'm not a child.
No, we're going back.
coat. Be a name for him.
Before we got to the anchorage, her panic was almost out of control. But safely moored
Tonto,
once more, she
he's coming
calmed
back.
slowly and said,
How
Just as if he
strange.
knew what I said.
To be forced back to this place I loathe by my own cowardice.
"It's not cowardice.
Silver,
The
you
sea is
beauty.
frightening to those unused to
Hand me
it.
the halter,
Come,
Tonto.
you must forget it now. How about we'll have tea
As the
for us in
mighty
a moment?
stallion felt the halter,
Uh,
he trembled
how do you
as
like
if
our
from a
boat?
chill.
It's
Every instinct
quite
told him that
wonderful.
he must flee at once to preserve his
Having
freedom.
nothing else to
And yet
care
he
for.
stood his ground.
No place
It wasn't
for people
gratitude that kept him
on
there.
land.
It was something stronger, some
you're
mysterious bond of
satisfied?
friendship and understanding.
All
He
the
heard the
things
man's
most men
voice,
value were
and
taken
he liked
from me
it.
in an instant.
Silver,
Can you talk about it?
Silver.
Why,
We're going
I
to be
haven't for
partners.
12 years. Not to anybody, but
Let you use halter.
now,
Tonto, the saddle.
yes, I...
No horse like that. take saddle. There never was a horse like this. Now, Silver, we're going to work together.
The horse was wild and unused to the ways of men, and the weight of a saddle and a rider. But the masked man was a kind teacher. He was gentle yet firm, and Silver was intelligent. The stallion seemed to sense the desires of the Lone Ranger and did his best to cooperate. He learned
Put it that
quickly,
way, I
and
suppose.
after several days of
I
training,
simply don't want to
he
take a
was
second
ready.
chance.
Follow me,
Become
Tonto.
involved and be
I'm
hurt.
going after Cavendish.
But that's living.
Come on, Silver!
To be hurt. Do you think you can escape so easily?
No hoofs had ever beat the plains like those thundering hoofs of the great horse Silver.
Father will be
During the
waiting.
past
Why
few
so
days,
suddenly?
Cavendish had gotten far
Yes,
away,
I see.
but the masked
That's
man
Nicholas
and
on the
Tonto
beach
trailed
looking
him
out here.
relentlessly with only a
Dinner will
minimum
be
of
ready.
Why
rest.
do you have a servant
It
like
took
that?
days
That man's
to cut
dangerous.
down the outlaw's lead, but at long last, Cavendish
Just
came into view.
Take me
There he
in.
is. Come on, Silver!
The mighty stallion responded with a new burst of speed. Cavendish fired wild shots
Now
over
I
his
knew
shoulder
that she,
until
too,
his
was
gun
afraid of
empty.
Nicholas. I
His
could
horse,
see it
though
in her
powerful
eyes.
and fast, was no
Why
match
then
for the
did I
charging
let her go to
Silver.
him?
Fear and panic filled the outlaw's face.
confused.
He heard the hoofbeats ever nearer. And the last man shout, "I want you, Cavendish!" The masked man's
That
avowed
night a
mission
storm
was
broke, a
accomplished.
raging wind
The
and
last
rain
of the Cavendish gang was
matched my
captured
tortured
to be
mood.
tried by law and
I hardly
punished
slept.
for
Her
his
face
crimes.
was always before my
There were
eyes,
many
and by
others
morning I
whose
knew that I
criminal
must do
plans were to be
something.
challenged by the
I rode
Lone
the tender
Ranger,
in through a
his
drizzling
faithful
rain.
Indian
I went up
companion
through the
Tonto,
orange grove and
and his
stopped in
great
the
horse
bushes by the
Silver.
house. Someone was coming out of the house, and I crouched down out of sight. It was Millie. I rose and called her. Millie!
Oh, it's you. I was just coming out to look. I was afraid you'd gone out. The sea is like a pack of wolves.
I won't go alone, not without you.
What are you saying? That's madness.
No, I've got to talk to you, Millie. There's a lot that needs explaining. Things that I have a right to know.
No, not here. Come.
She led me into one of the smaller ruined buildings. What must have been a store in the days of the great plantation. We crouched far back in the dripping shadows of a corner.
Now.
Millie, I love you. For the first time in 12 years, I'm living again, and I love you.
I know nothing of love.
It's easily learned.
Well, perhaps if things were different, someplace else, I might care very much.
Then I'm going to take you away someplace else. Make things different. Give you the chance.
No. It's too late. You came too late.
Why, Millie? Why? What is it? What is it you fear?
Nicholas.
Oh, he's nothing. Nothing to be afraid of. Has he been bothering you?
He says he's crazy about me. He says I must marry him.
Where is he now?
No, you mustn't, John. Something frightful would happen.
Not frightful, just unfortunate for Nicholas.
You don't understand. He's not human. There's something about him.
What about him?
He came here in April. We were glad to get him. Servants are impossible to get back here in the wilderness. He would work for the smallest wages. Only a few days ago, I found out why he was glad to be here. I was cleaning his room, and I found this.
Let's see. Wanted for murder. Iskon Nicholas, homicidal maniac.
He knows I found it. He knows. And he's been furious. Then you came, and he ran and hid in the pines. But he told me if I spoke about it, then it would happen to me. And if I left with you, it would happen to Father. You see, he thinks I'm in love with you. He told me to send you away. He said you must leave today.
Millie, I should have realized.
He says I must not be away for longer than an hour. I must go.
Look, Millie, it'll take us a couple of hours to get the boat ready. I'll come for you tonight at 8. Now, tell him you saw me and I promised to go. And act quietly. Say you've been upset. You'll give him his answer tomorrow. Then at 8, bring your father and walk out to the wharf. That's all. But do it without hesitation or preparation.
Oh, don't let him hurt us. Oh, please don't.
Not now. He's finished, Millie. But do as I say. It won't be long, hardly 3 hours. And then, freedom. Now that I knew, now that there was to be action, I felt better. Halvard and I got the ketch ready for sailing, and 8 o'clock we tied it up to the little pier. The storm had abated slightly, but it was still raining. I got up on the dock and waited for Millie. 10 minutes passed. Then 20. Something was wrong. I told Halvard to wait there with the tender. Then I walked slowly up to the house. It was dark. I went up to the side portico to the heavy door. A tiny crack of light showed under it. I pushed it open. The light came from a parlor to the right. I looked in. On the floor lay a body. Old Litchfield Stope. He was dead, crushed. His arm twisted grotesquely under him. There was not a sound in the house. Slowly I walked through the downstairs rooms. Nothing. And back in the hall I heard a slight creak. Upstairs, someone had moved. Was it Millie, alive? on Nicholas lying in wait. I groped slowly up the stairs. I dared not use my flashlight. It would have made me a target for his knife. The upstairs hall was pitch black, and still there was no sound. I inched my way along the wall, slowly. Then I stumbled on a loose board. The pistol flew out of my hand, but the stumble saved my life. The same instant I felt Nicholas lunge. Heard the knife sing past my ear and thud into the wall. Felt his great bulk smashing on my shoulder. My gun was somewhere on the dark floor. His knife was embedded in the wall. Now we were grappling hand to hand, rolling on the floor, kicking, tearing, gouging, crushing. My strength and wit against the massive bulk of a maniacal killer. How many minutes did that unequal struggle last? I don't know. It seemed an hour. Several times, as if by common consent, we rested for minutes at a time, locked in tight embrace. Once we rolled apart and lay panting, the breath aching in my throat. Then I heard him groping along the wall, searching for the knife or the gun. I threw myself on him again, but he was too big, too furious. I felt my strength ebbing away. His fingers were closing over my throat. With one last effort, I tried to throw him off, to roll him over. I staggered dazedly to my feet and looked up. He'd fallen through the banister down the stairwell. Nicholas had landed on the bottom. He lay there on the stairs, sprawled, his head at a grotesque angle. But he was not dead, only stunned. I leaned against the wall, looked at him stupidly. There was something I was trying to remember. What was it? Then she came down the steps, and I remembered. Millie.
I had to walk right past him. There was no other way. Right past his head and my skirt. I think we better go away. It's quite impossible here with him in the hall where you have to pass so close.
Millie, yes, we'll leave at once.
I must tell you about my father. You know, in Virginia, the women tied an apron on the door because he would not go to war, and that preyed on his mind, and he was afraid of the slightest thing.
Yes, I know, but we must go.
Things upset him so. He had no strength.
To hear her talk like this, like a sick child, was almost more than I could bear. But now I heard something. Nicholas had gotten up. He stood there and stared for a moment at us. Then he started slowly up the stairs. He was going for the knife.
This little thing upsets him.
Millie, we've got to go.
I was to meet a man. We were going away someplace where it'd be peaceful. He said at 8 o'clock. But Nicholas suspected, you see. He asked why Father had put on his heavy winter clothes. Then when I tried to go out, he pushed me.
Millie.
And do you know what Father did then? He came up and he said, "Don't do that. Take your hands off my daughter." His lips shook a little, but he said it. That's the important thing.
Yes, of course. Your father was a brave man after all. Now come, that man is waiting for you. There's no time to lose.
Father said, "Take your hands off my daughter." Nicholas killed him, of course. Crushed him like a little mosquito. But it was a brave thing to do.
I couldn't wait any longer. I had to risk whatever injury it might do to her mind. I could hear Nicholas coming back. I swept her up in my arms and carried her out into the night, down the path to the little pier. Behind me, I could hear Nicholas crashing through the brush like a giant animal in pursuit.
Are you all right, sir?
Yes, about done in, but all right. Here, help me get her in the boat.
Yes, sir. There. Somebody's coming.
It's Nicholas. He's got a knife.
Good. They wanted to get back at him. You get in, sir. I'll take care of him.
Calvert went to intercept Nicholas on the path. I heard them meet and struggle for a moment. Then a stooped figure came walking slowly onto the pier. I prepared to shove the boat out into the water, and then...
All right, sir. It's me.
Oh, Halbert. Where's Nicholas?
They stopped him. He was all pumped out.
Are you hurt?
No, just a scratch. They missed his knife at first in the dark. It's nothing.
Good. Let's get away from here, then. I held Millie in my arms as Halbert rowed to the ketch erratically, I suppose, because of the storm. We were ready to cast off in 2 minutes. The last obstacle would be the narrow passing out of the cove. In this storm, it would be dangerous, very dangerous. I started to take Millie into the cabin.
No! There's Nicholas! In the doorway!
Nonsense. Nicholas is dead. You're on my boat, Millie. You're safe, Millie.
Safe? With John Woolfolk?
I am John Woolfolk.
But you didn't come.
Yes, I did, Millie. And you're safe. Come.
I want to stay here.
All right. You sit here beside Halvard. I'm going up front to take soundings.
In this van, you won't be able to hear me if I call.
No, but you can hear me. Remember, we've only 3 feet clearance. You'll have to hold it steady through the passage.
Yeah, I'll manage it.
Halvard, this is no time for pretense. How do you feel?
All right. I've taken knives before. Just to scratch.
All right, we'll fix it as soon as we get outside. Now let's go. Turn over the engines. Pull up anchor. The boat headed into the tearing wind of the storm, sped swiftly toward the narrow inlet. A foot too far on either side, and we would hit. In this sea, that would mean death for us all. I stood far up on the bow, taking soundings, feeling out the passage. Fore! The howling wind carried my call back to Halvard. The boat veered. I realized he must have lost a lot of blood. Halvard! Halvard, steady her! Slowly, haltingly, it came around. 3.5! Steady now! But it was anything but steady. The boat waved and swung as if an amateur hand were on the wheel. In a moment, we might hit. 3.25! We're in the passage. Hold steady, Halvard! Steady! For just another moment. Just one moment. 3.5! We're through! Good boy, Halvard! Good boy, Halvard, I called. But when I went back, it was not Halvard at the wheel. It was Millie. Millie, her hands steady, her eyes washed clear of any madness. Millie with a tight little smile on her face, but no fear. And Halvard lay rolling with the swells in the bottom of the cockpit.
I'm afraid he's dead, John. He was wounded worse than you thought.
Halvard dead?
He told me to take the wheel. Said it was life or death. Then he slid down like that.
When? When was this?
Back there in the passage. Just when you said 3.5. I'm afraid I wasn't very good. But I held on.
Oh, Millie, you were wonderful.
No, not yet. But I'll learn, John. I'll learn.
Escape is produced by William N. Robeson and was directed tonight by Richard Sanville. You have just heard Wild Oranges by Joseph Hergesheimer, adapted for radio by John Dunkel, with Paul Frees as John Woolfolk, Jeanette Nolan as Millie Stopes, Bill Conrad as Halvard, Jack Crucian as Nicholas, and Sherry Hall as Litchfield Stopes. The special musical score was conceived and conducted by Cy Fuhrer. Next week...
You've planned it very well. She's dead, and you feel no remorse. Your escape has worked out perfectly. There's nothing to worry about. Except, perhaps, an unexpected Christmas present.
Next week, we escape with John Collier's grim story, Back for Christmas. Good night, then, until this same time next week, when once again we offer you Escape. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.